Hello guys and welcome back to another exciting episode of Grammar with Shri. I'm Srihari from Genesis Training. Let's see what we have in store for you today. Okay guys, today we are going to be studying about a very interesting topic called as one word substitution. One word substitution comprises to at least 5% of your campus recruitment training question papers, because when it comes to most of the corporates and companies, they want a good vocabulary skill in you. So one of the ways of finding it out about what one word substitution is through finding out how good your vocabulary is. So what is one word substitution? One word substitution is one of the integral parts of vocabulary. It simply means that a sentence has been replaced with a single word. This area requires a good vocabulary to solve the questions as well. Questions based on one word substitution are often asked in various competitive exams. So, today for our session, I'll be using my crafty cell phone, which has internet connection, and I have an access to online dictionary that can help me understand and solve these questions better. I recommend you do the same to understand how can you represent an entire sentence in just one word. So usually most of the places or most of the job descriptions that you get is a one word substitution to the entire job that you will be doing. For example, I am just a freelancer here, but as a freelancer I am free to take any role that I want. So today I am in front of you performing a class for one word substitution. Tomorrow I can be outside somewhere in between the mountains training people on how to take a really good ridge. So a freelancer, so usually if someone asks you what is your job, when you say you're a freelancer, it's much easier. That way you're covering a vast area instead of just telling I am a trainer online as well as I'm a trainer in between the mountains. So that becomes way too complicated. So let us see how to choose the one word which can be substituted for the given word or sentence. Old age is when a man behaves like a fool. Imbecility, senility, dotage, superannuation. So here you have four really complex words which you don't know the meaning to. Or probably if you do, you would have known the answer by now. So in focus to those who really find such questions tricky and very difficult to answer, I need you guys to start reading a lot of books, newspapers, and any editorial when it comes to reading immediately. So every day at least dedicate 1 hour towards reading books and newspapers. That way you'll have a good hold on many words such as these which you will see every day. So now to solve this question, so I'm going to be going through every single word and its meaning for you guys. So the first word is imbecility. Imbecility is a meaning that is usually given for weakness or feebleness. So if someone is feeling really weak or feeble, now they're imbecile. So old age is when a man behaves like a fool, not weak or ill. So imbecility is not the word. So what is the next word? Senility. Let us see senility then. So senility means the condition of being sensible. So are fools sensible? No. Now let us see what dotage means. Dotage means the period of life in which a person is old and weak and often cannot understand simple concepts. So dotage is a person when he is so old and weak that he doesn't even understand what is right and what is wrong. So could that mean he is a fool? Probably. Now the only way to figure it out, if we see the last word, that's superannuation. So what does superannuation mean? Regular payment made into a fund by an employee towards a future pension. So a fool forget about putting money regularly, he might not even try to save the money that he gets. So what's the right answer to this question? It's option C. That's dotage. I have done this for the first question. Now from the next question onwards, let us see if the words are really as complicated as it sounds, or can I give you a better meaning to it. That which cannot be corrected. Unintelligible, unintelligible, endiable, illegible, or incorrigible. So here also pretty much everything sounds the same. So what's the correct answer here? Let's see. So unintelligible, it means impossible to understand. So it is something that can still be corrected or maybe not. So the only way to know is if we know the meaning of every single word. So what's the second word? Indelible. Indelible means making marks that cannot be removed. Probably. Even this sounds right. So what's the third word? Illegible. Illegible means not clear enough to read. Or incorrigible. Incorrigible means it's not able to be changed or reformed. So pretty much all the answers are here the same, but which cannot be corrected is option D, because incorrigible means it is something that is not to be able to change or reformed, whereas every other meaning had some other word attached to it, like you saw. Question 3. The study of ancient societies. So we have anthropology, archaeology, history, and ethnology. So anthropology is, so we are all anthrophobes. So anthropology is study of human behavior throughout the different ages. Archaeology is digging up old stuff. So we have seen a lot of action movies. We have heard this word at many places. So archaeology relates to something that's history, something that's ancient. So it could be. So history is study about everything that is related to the past. So it doesn't have to be just society. It can be the history of computers. It can be history of human beings. It can be history of a mouse. It could be history about anything pretty much. And ethnology. So what is ethnology here? Ethnology is the study of characteristics of different people and the differences and relationships between them. So this has got nothing to do with ancient societies. The most relatable word here is archaeology. So the correct answer has to be option B. So like you see guys, anthropology, archaeology, history, these are different departments even in your postgraduate studies. So if your focus is right and if your reading sections are right, these are some of the words that keeps appearing everywhere. So even you get such questions like this even in most of the competitive exam books, but who has the time? So let's just stick to online and learn the best way possible here. A person of good understanding, knowledge, and reasoning power. Expert, an intellectual, a snob, or a literate. So here, an expert is someone who is really good at what he is able to do. An intellectual is someone who has strong knowledge about what he is doing and how it is to be done. A snob is someone who is usually very proud about what he knows, and usually that is something that is stopping them from learning completely about what they are supposed to know. And a literate is a person who is able to tell you about something. The ability for him to perform the action or reasoning power is doubted. So, if you have guessed the correct answer to be an intellectual, then you are absolutely right. Question number 5. A person who insists on something. So, a disciplinarian, a stickler, instantaneous, or a boaster. Now let's start from the last option here. A boaster is someone who shows off. So he keeps boasting about what he did. An instantaneous person is someone who is very instantaneous about things. That person doesn't think if it is right or wrong, but he will always perform the action instantaneously. A stickler is someone who knows his decision and usually insists not only himself but for others also to do the same thing. So a stickler personality is someone who's usually really good at grammar. They keep correcting everyone else's grammar and they insist them on learning it. And a disciplinarian. So this person believes discipline is ultimate and discipline is the only way to get things done. So this person is someone who cannot survive without having discipline around them. And so the correct answer for this question is option B. That is a stickler, a person who insists on something. So a stickler usually insists his decision on everyone else because he believes that that decision is often the right decision. Question number 6. State in which the forgotten govern the many. So let's look at the question again. A state in which the few govern the many. So there's a small group of people that's governing an entire body. So what could it be? A monarchy, an oligarchy, a plutocracy, or an autocracy? So as you see, mono means single. So monarchy is something that you can negate it immediately. Autocracy is also on the similar lines. So even an autocratic rule is something where a few people cannot govern the body. So let us see what oligarchy and plutocracy means. Oligarchy means a small group of people having control over a country or organization. So clearly answer is option B. Guys, to make you understand better, I am using the help of a dictionary here. However, a dictionary is not going to pop up for you during the verbal examination. So I recommend you guys to start using a lot of reading material to surround you and your daily life. These words are certain things that will keep popping up each and every other day in some or the other section where you read. Until you pay enough attention to such words, and when you come across such words, if you don't search for its meaning, when you not know the meaning, if you don't search for it, that's when the real damage happens. So if you take my advice, kindly start using a dictionary whenever you come across any unique words that you're reading. Question number 7. A style in which a writer makes a display of his knowledge. So a pedantic, a verbose, a pompous, or an ornate. So here, a style in which a writer makes a display of his knowledge. So it is something that is written maybe, or something that is permanent, like an engraving on a wall. So if you have gone through the meanings of these 4 words in the dictionary by now, you would have come to know that a pedantic means it is a structure on which an engraving or a calligraphy is engraved on a wall or on a stone. So a style in which a writer makes a display of his knowledge is usually through a pedantic. Question number 8. List of business or subjects to be considered at a meeting. So it can be something as specific to a situation like you see in the question. So considering a meeting, what are the different subjects or the kind of business that you can deal with? Could be something, so is it a schedule, or do you call it a timetable? Do you call it an agenda, or do you call it a plan? So it's the list of businesses. What are all the subjects that you will be covering or considered to be spoken about in a meeting? So a timetable is something that is used in your schools and colleges. So which tells you which class comes after which class. So a plan is usually a rough idea about what you're going to perform. A schedule is something that happens on a recurring basis. A meeting may or may not happen on a recurring basis. An agenda, although sounds very specific towards one event that happens within a given structure of time, and it usually contains the transitions and the contents of that given time frame. So the correct answer here is option C, that's an agenda. Question number 9. Leave or remove from a place considered dangerous. So if you're leaving a place just because there is a tsunami warning or a volcanic eruption warning or an earthquake warning, so what is the first thing that you do? Do you evade from that place, or evacuate, avoid, or exterminate? You evade from an oncoming threat. You can avoid an oncoming threat. You can exterminate a cockroach, which is a threat to many people. But you evacuate when you cannot exterminate the threat or evade from it, or when you cannot avoid it. That's when you evacuate. So evacuation is the right answer here. Question number 10. A prima facie is such. Hey, that's a very interesting word. A prima facie. Yes, a prima facie is a Latin word, guys. So as you remember, most of the English words has been taken from the Latin. So a prima facie can mean something as it seems at first sight, as it's made to seem at first sight, as it turns out to be at the end, or as it seems to the court after a number of hearings. So guys, let's consider certain things. So certain concepts here when it comes to Latin. So in Latin, most of the words are mostly scientific. So primary, prima. So prima or primary means initial, first. Facie is something that you view, face. So face, facie, you face it. So you view it. So a prima facie can be something that as it seems from its first sight. So though the correct answer is option A here, it is very obvious. So I want you guys to understand at the same time, option B also sort of related to it. As it is made to seem at first sight. So there is a huge difference here. As it is made to see and as it is seen. So to understand this, you need to know a lot more words in Latin. So I recommend you guys do a lot of studying of words and its Old English form. So that way you will have a good ear towards what Latin words sounds like. So I have seen most of my students read the word prima facie as prima facie. So pronunciation removes half of the struggle for you. Learn how to pronounce it correctly. The rest happens on its own. So now you know what time it is. It's time to take up that quick test to understand how you can substitute a word for a sentence and a word for another word altogether. And with this, we'll wind up one word substitution, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you.